What's up, guys and gals? My name is Chris Tonvold, and this is Ambition Radio. This is a podcast where we interview cool people doing cool stuff, trying to figure out what makes them tick, trying to figure out what their motivation is, how they keep going, and how they balance their hobbies, their passions with their career, life, their family, the whole nine in there. So this week we have my friend Chris Zelinsky came on. He is a World Cup dodgeballer, World Cup champion dodgeballer. He has 1 gold, 2 silver medals, representing the States all over the world. We go in and we talk about the history of that, the way that started, his time overseas with the national team, and then his time with Team Awesome out of Philadelphia. Currently, he's still part of Team Awesome. They have a charity tournament on December 15th in support of the Safe Harbor Easton Homeless Shelter. Check that out. I'll post the links in the description for everything for that. A few weeks ago was the actual World Cup this year. Chris wasn't able to make it, but the United States got second. We lost only to Malaysia, which is still crazy to me. So we go through all that in there. Hopefully you guys like it. I think it's a really good one. We go through everything from our high school days, since Chris and I went to high school together, and then all the way up to what he's doing now, which is just incredible. So hopefully you guys like it. Enjoy. You were talking about your skateboarding stuff when you're in high school. Talk to me a little bit about that, because now I'm interested, because we're talking about 12, 13, 14 years ago now.
Yeah, so I guess it actually had started when I was in 8th grade. I was a Navy brat, so grew up all over the world. Picked it up when I was living with my dad in Panama, not Panama, Florida, the actual, Central
The actual
America.
Panama, yeah.
Yeah, there's some kids, were, skating around, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I got asked for one for Christmas, and they kind of started there, but it didn't really manifest to grow what it was in high school until I got back to the States, because I was like, I left Panama to come to the States because I actually wanted to play American sports, and they just didn't have, the only thing they had down there was soccer. And then when I got here, I was far behind all these kids in the county, because these kids grow up, playing football at such a young age, and then they're just superstars. So so skateboarding is kind of where I ended up, and we called ourselves LP City Crew for Lexington Park Crew, and then you had the Green Holly guy, with Mark Chera.
Because there was 15 to 20 at least dicking around skateboarding all the time, right?
It was back when it was huge, where these professional athletes would spend a year or two for a 3-minute video part. So it was a really big deal, and then that inspired us, and then so it kind of grew there. Yeah, we called ourselves the Loose Cannons eventually.
Right.
And we started our own little crew, and there was about 10 of us, and it was just a day. Every day after school, it was, hey, where are we meeting and where are we filming? Because we're gonna film at this spot, and I'm gonna try this trick today. But then, oh shit, I broke my ankle. Now I'm out for 3 months.
I remember those, because I had started skating. I think my sophomore year, because my buddy Andy was skating, and then the whole group of people were there, and I was doing that. I was playing lacrosse, so I wasn't good at either. So I would be skateboarding and trying all the things, and then roll one ankle here, roll the other ankle there, land the worst position possible.
Oh, you have no idea, the beating your ankles can take until you step on it.
Mine are still swollen from both lacrosse and all the nonsense that has to do with it, and then the terrible skateboarding that I did when I was younger too.
It's some of the fondest memories I have of high school actually was being part of Loose Cannons. When we would land something, we'd film our little parts, we'd make a video, the Loose Cannons video, and put it on a DVD or VHS at the time, and give it to everyone in class. Hey, look how cool we are. This ain't going anywhere, but We still think it's cool. We spent 2 years on it. Can you just please take a look at it? You don't have to pay for it. Just
was that Asphalt Ocean? Was that?
So that was before. That was like the beginning.
Okay.
So that was the Green Holly crew.
Okay.
Yeah, they started, and then they started Poetry in Motion right after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember they had a viewing party at Kevin Chester's house.
Yeah.
And that, like the whole county was there, and we're like, like me and the other guys who were like kind of new to it, we're like, man, I think we could do something better. And that's what formed the Loose Cannons Crew. It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, because I think I still have that DVD somewhere at my house. Like
oh my God, DVD, that's like high tech. Man.
Yeah,
we were using high 8 tapes back then.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember all that nonsense. And then you got sponsored by the local board shop.
Yeah, so it was like I mentioned earlier, it was a 50-50 sponsorship. So Mike Jenner and I pretty much kind of split sponsorship, so 50-50. And then it was like a competition mode. And then the owner, Chris Warren, at the time was like, all right, you get half off all your shit. I don't know if but eventually one of you is going to pull through, and then that one you will get full and the other will get left in the dust. So good luck. Let me show me what you got. But it never really got for any further than that. I mean, we always one up each other, and then the other would get inspired by that, and then they'd do something also cool, and then just Chris could never make a decision. And then by the time the end of high school ended, and I was like, oh, I gotta go. I'm gonna go join the Navy now.
Right.
Mike, it's all yours.
So what did that do for you for the skateboarding? I mean, were you going to competitions? Were you doing anything with it?
So I think the furthest we got was we would hold like demos, and like we would close off a street somewhere in Lexington Park. Sometimes in Hollywood. Sometimes we came up to Dunkirk, the little park up there.
Right.
So the 4 or 5 or 6 of us, how many could make it at the time, or whoever had a car, because we're all like kids, would just drive up and then kind of just not even just put on a show. Really, just have a good time. Just compete against each other, but also, show and teach the young kid, the next generation, kind of, I guess, how to do stuff. I don't know. I never took it very serious.
Right. Okay. Because we had, I think, right before we graduated, the Lexington Park skate park happened, right?
Yeah. Nicolette.
Yeah,
Park.
Nicolette Park.
Yeah.
And then there was the one in Dunkirk that was right after that, or
yeah, I think Nicolette was I think that was our senior year, and at the time we didn't. So there's a hard distinction of, you got your street skaters and then you got your park skaters. It was the Nicolette was so new, no one really knew how to skate in a bowl.
Right.
We can throw ourselves down 10 stairs all day long, but then, who knew how to drop in? Like none of us. So it was not something we were interested in, but I guess that's all I do now. I don't know, man. It's been so long.
Yeah. I remember putting on shows there a couple times. So we did like outdoor shows there, and it was pretty crazy because that was when like they spent all this money on it, but no one was using it.
Yeah, there were some problems with it. I remember that.
Yeah. So I know Nicolette definitely had some issues just because of where it was at.
So I think if I remember right, they used to have amateur competitions there when it first was built. But, the owners or whomever decided to plot that, stuff there wasn't thinking, okay, you're in the heart of Lexington Park, which is the most ghetto part of, St. Mary's County. Unfortunately. Yeah. It's just not a nice area, and they're trying their best to bring it up, but it's just I wouldn't take my kids there. Right.
And you have 2 kids now, right?
2 kids. Elise, who's 5, who's in kindergarten, and Nora, who's 1, who's
handful.
And they always say, like, if you're the first one, which Elise was, she was just like, you're just so easy. You just just hang out and be a kid and do kid stuff. And I don't have to dad you at all. This next one, oh my god! So it's the second one's always. If you have a good one, the second one's always
the troublemaker.
Yeah,
yeah, that's funny, and it's crazy to me just how because it's you and your wife Danielle, and then we started. So we started Dodgeball, or your senior year, right? Or your
Sophomore. Junior year, yeah.
Okay, because you're a year behind me, so I couldn't.
This is 2005.
Okay. Because it was just John Hillen and myself, like, in a room, just writing down names. I'm like, hey, who can we get to just throw balls at each other in a tennis court for a while? And I remember we just got, we had 50 people show up almost every week or something like that. But you've taken that, beginning and really built like your whole family and future almost on it, right?
It's almost like a weird thing to say, but yeah, I mean, you can, people hate on the movie Dodgeball all they want, but that was really the catalyst that started everything. It really was. Because it was when that movie came out, John and I were friends, and then he was like, "Hey man, that sounds fun. Like whoever thought adults can play this child's game?"
Yeah.
And then like you said, we made flyers and put them up in the local school and the drill hall and the local gyms, and then
yeah, because I was thinking about it earlier, like this was before Facebook. This was before MySpace even.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember how we got so many people in one place.
We literally went to the gas stations, before Wawa was even around in the county.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the gym, it was just flyers. We printed out like probably, 500 flyers and put them all over the school. We even went to, Leonardtown, Chopticon, our school, Great Mills.
Right.
The grocery stores, anywhere where they had a corkboard, they would just let us post up. I mean, it ended up being like 90% Great Mills kids, but like you said, it was almost like 75 kids the first weekend we had it.
The first weekend was insane.
It was nuts. It was so fun. We were totally unprepared. We only had like 10 balls. We're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then I remember being able to take the net down, which was fun, and then just going apeshit on everything. Did we get kicked out of that place?
So what happened was, it's funny you mentioned the net. So you're talking about the net in
was that Hickory Hills?
Hickory Hills.
Okay.
So the HOA came, they saw that, and we actually ended up breaking it on accident, and then they sent us a bill.
Yeah.
Which John Hillen had covered the bill secretly.
How much was it?
Oh god, I mean,
enough
for a high school kid to be like, holy shit.
Right.
How did you pay for that?
I feel like he should have asked. Like, we were all probably chipped in like $5 or something.
That's what everyone said, but it was his idea. It was his baby. He felt responsible, but I still give him shit for that today. If you've known John, you can meet him, and within the first 5 minutes, you'll understand he's a super prideful guy, and just. It was a nice thing to do, but it's just also kind of like, hey man, it just doesn't have to all fall on you. There's 75 other guys out there helping you out.
Right, and there was, because I want to say the core of people, there was still like 30 core people going almost every week at least.
Yeah, so with the first week was 75, guys and girls, and then we ended up kind of starting our own little mini league, and which was a weekly thing. We like had captains, we had pick teams, and eventually, like you said, it dwindled down to about 30 people. And then from there, it really grew to, or I guess downsized to a solid 8 or 9, to where these people just really like it. They happen to be pretty good at it. And then John actually had found a local tournament in Richmond, Virginia, where brought those 8 guys, asked those 8 guys, hey, we've been doing this for a little bit. There's something pretty big. 300 teams that are coming to Richmond from all over the country are going to compete in this tournament. Let's go. And we're like, all right.
That's insane. Yeah, because I remember trying to play for a little bit, and then I had shoulder surgery.
Oh yeah.
That year, and I just couldn't do anything after that. And then it went from, us really just digging around, and to you going into tournaments and then like building it from there.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the first tournament.
So the first one, before we even knew it happened, it was an annual thing, and we caught it on the first annual.
That's cool.
Was just lucky. Yeah, it was a Chick-fil-A sponsored tournament where they kind of had they were the main sponsor, but there was a lot of other things that they did, like a 10 5K or something like that. But there's 300 teams. So you're talking 300 teams of 6 from all over the country. You got teams from LA, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, that had been waiting and heard about this for years, and then we had just were like, hey, cool, we'll come play. And then it was driving distance. We're all in high school, have no money, so we ended up going, and it was pretty incredible because I think we took like 7th out of that tournament, and there was these teams that considered themselves like professional, who like at the time professional was just like, you played in more than one tournament, cool, you can call yourself professional because no one else as an adult does this. But and it was with a ball we had never seen or used before.
That was with the foam balls, right?
Right. So outside we play with the old school kickball 8.5 rubber ball. And then we get to this tournament, we like look at these things like, these things are like foam. What the hell is this thing?
Yeah, I remember throwing that for the first time. Like, there's nothing to do with this. Like,
No.
you pinch it now. I don't
Yeah.
know what that is. And then you try and throw it, and it's a lot lighter than the rubber balls. I remember that because I think I hooked up with you guys a couple times to play, but that was a big difference for me not doing it ever.
Well, it was a cultural shock almost because we were like used to this big heavy thing.
Yeah.
Which is you use like a lot of your body momentum to throw, but when then you transition to this super light, squishy thing, it's all torque, and our bodies just didn't know how to like use it or deal with it. I mean, we eventually figured it out an hour in. I mean, we took 7th. I mean,
which is insane to me. And I remember you guys got a little bit of money from that, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, the first place, not that one, because it was charity.
Okay.
It was like it was for I think the kids of Nigeria at the time is what their main charity area was. But if you win Chick-fil-A free for a year. You win 365 coupons to go get yourself a free number 1 or number 2.
That would have been life changing at that time.
So fast forward from now until then, we've won it 3 times. So I don't like Chick-fil-A anymore. I can't eat it.
No?
I swear I can't eat it. I can't.
Well, if you have any more coupons, let me know.
I'm sure there's a drawer full of them somewhere.
That's crazy. So you went from that was your first one. What did you do that for the next like 3, 4? How many times have you done that tournament?
So I think that tournament we've done probably 6 or 7 times, and that we were the first tournament we call ourselves the Pirates because we didn't care about the names.
Okay.
And John just picked something, and we wore like Walmart, like skin tight shirts. But it actually, it was fun, but we just didn't know what was going to happen next. So it just happened when you go to that particular tournament, you get like a goodie bag, and within the goodie bag was a flyer for another tournament.
Nice.
That was sponsored by someone else. We're like, okay, I mean, this was really fun. Let's keep this going. And then from there, that one was a $35,000 tournament that we played in.
That's crazy.
Where you really see the pros come out.
Right. And at this point, who's in your team? Who's in your core of people?
So all high school kids at the time. So it was like myself. If you remember Brian Baker, the Beardley now, who I think is doing Twitch videos
right,
online. Right. Zane Jones, John Hillen, Jack Shuck, John Goulman, who was a little bit part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Chera. So I think that was our core.
Okay.
And then Rob, we call him Rob Dirty Pants. I actually don't even remember his last name.
That's going to make me feel bad because I'm pretty sure we're Facebook friends. But yeah, okay.
We call him Dirty Pants. That's what he is on my phone. Actually, if I could change his Facebook last name, I will. But it's just he always came to those Saturday practices with the most disgusting, gross jeans. Like he like I guess did a lot of caulking as his profession and just would wipe his hands on his pants and would come and play dodgeball. And I was like, dude, what? Could you just put a pair of shorts on, man.
Right.
Well, now this is my persona. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Dirty Pants.
So you went from that tournament and then found out $35,000 tournament. Right. What did you guys do with that?
So with that one, we switched back to the rubber ball. So we were a lot more comfortable.
Okay.
And then we brought, I think, a couple of different guys, but that was when we saw the first elite, teams come out. Where these guys who had invented the pinch that you talked about earlier, which is a method of squeezing the ball and then throwing it to make it put a little curve on it. Those guys from Los Angeles and San Diego came out. And I believe we took 4th in that tournament, which is not bad for us.
Still crazy.
Because we're just a bunch of kids who don't give a shit. And then we're like 15 years younger than everyone, and we're just kicking ass. But that one was the first. It was a multi-day tournament, too. So it was like round robin day 1, and then the playoffs day 2. But that was the first ultra competitive one that we had. I mean, you could count Chick-fil-A too, but that was a lot. That was a whole different level.
Yeah, right. So that's almost a completely different league. Like you had the amateurs almost at Chick-fil-A, and then now you're dealing with people that have been doing this for a lot longer that you never would have thought about because you just started this a year ago. Right. So and then that's insane to me.
So you play. Chick-fil-A was for charity. $35,000. When you start playing for that kind of money. That's the competitiveness really starts to come out, and we didn't even think about it. We didn't think we could win, but we really thought we could, make some noise, which we did. Even as young kids. So
Yeah. So where does that take you next? Because you're going mostly money tournaments after that.
so at that point, I think we were seniors at the time, and it just became a Google search, man. Like what's in driving distance that we can go and compete, and who can we scrounge up? What kind of, we're all high school kids. We all work at like restaurants and like or
Right.
sweeping floors somewhere. So do we have enough money to even enter? So it's like John was normally our guy who would find them for us. Even up here, we would come up and play at the Capitol Clubhouse here in Waldorf, Maryland. They would host like monthly tournaments, and I think we played probably about 10 or 15. And then our senior years happened, and then John was a year older than us, and the rest of us were seniors. So once we graduated, it got a little bit more difficult, but because I had joined the Navy and then
Right.
was still able, because I was only 3 hours away. So if John found a tournament, I would just put my leave chit in and.
Because what were you in Virginia Beach?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go from high school to the Navy, and you're still able to play in these tournaments.
Yeah, luckily we're all local, man. Like they all stayed in the county, and I was the furthest one away.
What did your parents think about the dodgeball stuff?
So it's funny because I feel like I consider myself I was a decent kid, but I fondly remember the only time I would sneak out of my house was to go play 9:00 dodgeball at St. Mary's College. So they had like a Tuesday and Thursday night pickup league. John would always come pick me up, and I would sneak out my window, and then we would go play dodgeball at night at the college, 20 minutes south.
So you're not drinking, you're not going crazy, you're not doing.
I mean, we're drinking too, but
sure. But you're not like that's not your goal. Your goal is to practice dodgeball.
And even like grew to there's Baynet article and Southern Maryland Newsnet articles where they actually came out and filmed us and took pictures and wrote like a really
for the
cool,
pickup.
Yeah. There's a nice piece on the Baynet about us. Yeah, way back when.
That's crazy. So where does it start to get super serious, and you're actually hitting World Cups at this point?
So, if you after I joined the Navy, and we're still hitting charity tournaments, but then it starts to really grow. It's when the dodgeballers started making their own tournaments.
Okay.
So instead of us waiting for these 3 or 4 tournaments a year, like this is for charity, it's when people who are organizing these new tournaments are actually legit dodgeballers, and that's when it started to grow. But at that point, the medics who we were with, myself and John, and who we started with, kind of started. A lot of people, find interest in other things, and
you grow up a little bit. It's adults, yeah.
And then that's when I actually joined up with this team called Team Awesome, based out of Philadelphia. So it's a team we knew and we were competitive against. We'd see each other at these tournaments. Like, so East Coast was where our primary focus was. A few on the Midwest and West, but in the finals it would always be Team Awesome or Medics, and so we knew them well. And then when our team started kind of dwindle, it was an easy choice for them to say, hey, what do you think about coming over here? I'm like, you got it, man. No problem.
Yeah. So
I'm not done yet.
How do you juggle your Navy career and then still pursuing a pretty steady dodgeball career at that point?
So it's funny. It's like I didn't take much leave in the Navy to do personal things. Any leave I took while I was active duty was to go play in a tournament. That's all. That's really all it was. My personal time, if on the weekends I'd come home and see Danielle, because Danielle at the time was going to college in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. But I would come down every weekend. I could see her, and then when I needed like 3 or 4 extra days and I wasn't deployed overseas, guess what? We're going to go to a tournament and throw balls at people.
That's crazy. So you went from the medics, who pretty much dissembled for the most part. Who joins you with Team Awesome? Does John?
No, so John actually quit playing. Not soon. He had decided to stop playing, which actually was one of the biggest downfalls of the medics. Which just after he'd said he was not interested in playing anymore, we kind of just disbanded. And the rest of the guys kind of like, I'm cool with not playing anymore. And I was like, there's more to this. I'm not done yet. And so I'm alone. So Team Awesome was already an established, very competitive team, and they just added me to their roster, and the rest is history there.
Well, how do you get to Philadelphia? So
now, I don't want to get too far ahead, but now the team is composed of just people from all over the East Coast.
Okay.
So it's a nonprofit organization, So it's a team, but it's like also like a foundation of like set of morals, and it's
They're
more
raising
than just,
money for people.
it's more than just a dodgeball team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know how that gets started?
What's that?
The Team Awesome. How did that?
It was these twins who were from Philly who started something in their church basement that, like us, were traveling to these charity tournaments, and for that just to grow to be so much more. And now we've all been together for about, I think, 6 years now.
That's crazy. So where has Team Awesome played through? So because you're going from tournament to tournament with this Philadelphia-based team, and then is that where the competition for like the World Cup stuff comes through, or how does that work out?
So I think I was in my first year with Team Awesome, which I think was back in 2012. It wasn't until 2013 the national scene was kind of born. So it started in Malaysia. I think it was like just this social group out of Arizona who was like, hey, we've been seeing a lot of traffic all over the country or the world with people with the interest to get together and play. So it started off with like I think 4 or 5 countries flew out to Malaysia and they competed. And then in 2013, it got pretty much established. I was like, hey, the U.S., we are making a team. We're going to find the best 9 guys in the country, and we're going to all go to New Zealand, and we're going to play against the best in the world. The selection process was, at the time, pretty, in my opinion, elementary. So all it was is a video submission along with a resume. Okay. So you kind of have to make a highlight video, pretty much,
right,
and then submit it, and then talk about yourself. And then from there, they had a committee, and then they would select people from all over the country. And then myself and another member of Team Awesome, who's a dear friend of mine, got chosen to go represent the U.S. and fly out to New Zealand.
That's insane. That's so crazy. So how was that experience for you?
It was difficult because the organization at the time was so small. It was up to us to find our own sponsorships.
Flights and, okay.
Well, yeah, so I was working for this company called Wiley at the time, and I pretty much went to their people and was like, hey, I'm going to overseas to play dodgeball. I know it sounds ridiculous, but can you give me money? And they gave me money as well as a couple other local restaurants and stuff, but ended up paying for my whole trip.
That's amazing.
As well as Danielle's, because actually that was the same year Danielle made the team.
I was about to say, because you guys played on the Cup team together, right?
That's right. So it's not co-ed, but it is mixed.
Okay.
And to backtrack a little bit, when we're talking about the playground tennis court days, is
right,
actually where Danielle and I met.
Right. Okay. That's a fun story. I like that, because I remember that you guys were like talking in high school, or at least, right?
So she was like a very like reserved and quiet person, but a hell of an athlete. So when she
did softball or something, right?
Yeah. When she had found out about people playing dodgeball, she's like, "Sign me up, let's go." And she was actually, I think it was field hockey season when we first started. She had taken a field hockey ball with, I don't know if you've ever held one, but it's hard as shit. It's like a pool ball. Yeah. She took one right in the dome, right under her eye, and cut her eye, like smashed her face. So she was playing dodgeball with like a bandage over her face because it was just that messed up.
I think I remember that.
And then opposite sides of the court, we were actually playing on dodgeball one Saturday, and I like just let one. It's like, because we used to play like 30 on 30.
Yeah.
I just let one rip in the middle, and the like seas like just parted, and she's like, poor girl in the back, just not paying attention, and my ball just nails her in the face.
Oh,
instantly
that's fun.
felt bad, and I like ran over there and like started texting and hanging out on dates, and now married, 2 kids, house.
That's a little weird. you already hit her. So you hit her in the face, and that's how the relationship starts.
Yeah, violence.
Yeah, that's usually not a good sign. But I'm glad to see that that's how that worked out. When does Danielle get into the picture for? Does she join Team Awesome with you?
No, so she actually was like so a lot of the tournaments, like the charity ones, were like you had to have a female.
Okay.
And she had been practicing with us, and she actually, we would always ask her to come play. But then it grew to be like she's just as good as the guys, so she became a permanent member. Yeah, so imagine playing a competitive sport with your significant other, not trying to scream at them when they make mistakes. We've had our trouble.
Who's better?
Oh, come on, man. She had a gnarly pinch though.
Yeah?
Yeah. Big time.
That's crazy. So you guys both go to New Zealand?
So the year we made it was 2013. We both, didn't think anything of it. We just like, hey, I gotta apply. I think, why not? Both get the phone call same day. Bought our flights like a week later, and then flew out to New Zealand to compete. I think I'm trying to remember how many countries there were. I think there was only 8 that year. But
only 8 actual countries that played.
Yeah, so 8 countries, 8 teams, both with a men and women's team.
That's nuts. So she's playing on the women's team?
So she played for the women's, yeah.
Okay.
And they actually had won, I'm trying to remember now. We both won silver that year. Yeah, we both our teams, U.S. lost to Canada in the finals.
That's a little bit of a dagger.
Big time.
Yeah. So how big are the teams for that? And then the selection process, that was only like maybe a month long, or how did that work out, do you know?
So I think we caught it towards the end when we actually had heard about it, and it was all done through social media. The selection process, I believe, was like 4 months long. Okay. And then they selected the team probably about 4 or 5 months before the actual tournament, so we can actually prep and get ready and fly and meet each other and practice as a team if we really wanted, which we didn't do, by the way.
So you won silver without practicing?
So the team consists of 9, 6 on a court. You got 3 reserves. Keep in mind it's like a 2-day tournament, long as shit. Body will eventually deteriorate.
Break down, yeah.
So you need to have, backups upon backups. But I knew Drew, who was my team awesome teammate. And then the 7 other guys I had never met in my life. We had thrown a ball together the morning we had dinner the night before. That was the first time we all met.
That's crazy.
To talk strategies and play calls and etc. But
are there actual like plays in dodgeball?
Oh, no doubt, man. No doubt.
I had no idea. I thought it was just like making sure that people don't hit you.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
They call it dodgeball, but it's the stupidest thing because dodging doesn't win games, right?
Right, because you got to reflect, you got to catch, you got to do
ball, catch ball.
Right. That doesn't really ring true as much as dodgeball does.
Sure. So like I think the most consistent strategy you're seeing now is called corners. So 2 balls. If you always have a ball on. So you have. I don't even have to explain the game that much, but I mean people understand 6-on-6, right?
Right.
6-on-6, you throw balls at each other, right?
Right.
But on your side of the court, you want to keep the balls on the perimeter, so on the very far left and the very far right. Those 2 guys always have a ball. It's called corners, and they're there to protect you, and they're there to control the flow. So they'll move up and down the court as a unit, and then you funnel like a guy in the middle to throw. So normally you have your strong thrower in the middle who take a ball and throw, and the guys on the middle on the sides will protect him and bring him back. And if the guy in the middle gets killed by another ball coming from the other team, then those guys will make them pay as far as retracting.
Right, because they're basically, once you start throwing, you're in a standard or a static place.
Right.
So you're just as
you're vulnerable.
Vulnerable, right? That's crazy. Okay.
So normally your corners are your pretty most well-rounded players. So they can block, they can throw, they can dodge, they can
dive.
Control game flow.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for you, what are there select positions that you're trying to go for, or is it a right wing? Is it a center? Is it a left wing?
It's I mean, you're nailing it. That's exactly what it is. So you got like your role players. You guys who are really good at catching. You got obviously your corners, your left wing, right wing, and then you got your just gunners who just love to throw and just kill people. So it's really just, and it's about chemistry. So that's how it used to be, but it's actually starting to grow to where you need to be comfortable, in any spot.
In any role.
Because obviously, the right wing, he's not going to be there. He could get out any moment, and you need to be able to take that ball and pick up that role.
Right, and then rotate through whenever you need to.
That's right.
Because at that point, if you're down to just 2 people on your team, you want to have the most versatile players for your lasting people, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So you better know how to throw, block, catch, dodge, all that stuff.
The whole, dodge a wrench, the whole thing, right? So when you're looking at your teammates for this dinner, are they telling you what they're good at? Or how does the strategy come along for that?
So I think we all knew each other as far as playing style.
Okay.
Not personally. So we all knew what each other's strengths and weaknesses were. But it was really it was the first time this had ever happened before. You never had a group of strangers meet in a foreign country on foreign soil to be like, hey, so we're gonna play this game. We all kind of know how to play it. Let's see how we do. And that's actually kind of how it was. I mean, we had the corner style, but it was just kind of like no set positions, like it would be like how the team is structured today.
That's crazy. Yeah, so it's the same kind of nonchalant attitude that you had when you were that first tournament, and then you got still silver, which is crazy. So with that silver medal, I mean, how does that affect you for your personal life? Does that get you more notoriety? Like, are you a name in the dodgeball community?
Now I definitely. So I could. I mean, I've been playing. You know, I'm a veteran now. I'm 29, but I'm considered one of the vets because I've been around this game for so long. But I don't want to get too far ahead. But there is this new. It's a league now that's called Elite. So it's Elite Dodgeball, where it used to be invite only, but. So I'd say so. I mean, like when I came home, I was working on base. I was working for the Department of Defense at the time, and you know, my coworkers and my boss thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. I mean, they all thought it was like the Olympics, but I tried telling them it's not the Olympics. We'll get there. It's the highest level of this game. Like you think of any game, even if it's like Parcheesi or you know, chess, you name it. This is the highest level that this game is played at.
Right.
And we just took second. The United States is now second best in the entire country, and that felt pretty good.
Yeah.
To the point where the Baynet reached out. I have no idea how they found us, but they wanted to do an interview, an article about Danielle and I and how we met, and at that time we were already selected to go play in Hong Kong for the 2014 season.
Yeah, so you go from New Zealand, which was an experience all by itself.
Right.
You know, meeting your team for the first time. Yeah. Now, do you guys practice together, or do you start molding like your team, or is it a different team going into Hong Kong
different
for the next?
Team. So selection is different. The same process, but there's no guarantee that you make it the next year. It's done the same way: a video submission and article, a quick kind of resume, and talk about yourself, and then. They kind of see what you've done throughout that year, which tournaments you've competed in, you know, which position you and your teams have been placing in, and then kind of just like hey, good luck.
That's crazy.
Where's the selection committee? Hope they pick you. So I was fortunate enough to make it again the second year to where we, Danielle as well, where we flew out to Hong Kong.
Okay. And how was that compared to the first time?
So now it started to get real. So we didn't really understand, since it was kind of like the first year of it being organized. This year, we knew what it was about. There are 4 or 5 more countries that are coming. So this is getting serious and getting very big and very real. And obviously, there was a lot of like return players from the year before who we know what it's like to get silver, but now we want to win. Now we're practicing together before we go, and now we're like having multiple. Group chats. What are we talking about? Months and months before. So it's New Zealand. I like this is my personal experience as well as a few others. It was like, okay, what is this? And then fast forward to Hong Kong. It's like, okay, now let's go. Now this is very serious. Let's try and get this gold.
And that almost mirrors your first tournament to that $35,000 tournament,
right,
where you're seeing like a whole other level at this point. So you're seeing that first New Zealand trip, like it's just a handful of people, really. It's just the same kind of like. Almost the same kind of level, and like we don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna try our best and see what happens. And now you're just like, okay, let's get the gears turning, let's practice, let's actually get our minds straight for this, and then go for the gold at this point, right?
That's a funny way of looking at it. I've actually never thought about it that way, but yeah, that's exactly how it went down.
Yeah, that's nuts. Okay, so we have you guys in Hong Kong. Let's talk a little bit about the lead up to it first. So you guys get picked. What, 6 months before?
About 4 months before.
Okay. And then where are these other team members? Are they all over the country?
So Drew once again made it. John Hillen had actually made it the team this year.
Well, since he quit, what was he submitting?
So he was still kind of playing every once a little bit, but not a whole lot. But he was honestly good enough at the time to
still make
to compete at the high level.
Yeah.
So myself, Drew, who was a return guy, we had 3 guys from L.A. who all played on the same team out there, who was the most dominant team in the country at the time. They chose 3 of them to come out. Another guy from Arizona, and then I believe one more from Chicago.
That's crazy. Okay. So the selection committee by itself, I mean, do you know how that got formed? Like, how are they...
So it's the
Who's picking you guys?
I mentioned earlier they started from a social club from Arizona. These two guys who really did all the work. Really, I mean, who started the WDBF World Dodgeball Federation, and then I believe it was just the two of them. So
Okay.
They had reputations, and they pretty much knew. They knew you. They knew the community at this time. You got to remember, it's
Still pretty small.
yeah, you're talking like 300 kids, man. Like, there wasn't many of us. I mean, now 2018, there's thousands.
That's
Thousands.
awesome. That's so cool. All right. So we're going through this selection process. You guys are all selected now. And then where does it come to the place where you're able to hook up? You're able to, because you guys are East Coast, West Coast. I mean, how does that work for practices?
So we actually didn't practice again.
Okay.
So it was too hard, that the organization didn't have the funds to fly us out. So we all met in Hong Kong probably, I think, like maybe 9 or 10 days before the tournament.
Okay.
And that's when we really got to know each other. And then we actually had 2 practices before the actual tournament. And that's when we really, because again, we're all, basically it's a team of captains.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a team of 9 guys who all think that they're the alpha, and who's going to decide who plays what position, right? So those practices were very enlightening for us, and then we all quickly realized who belonged where, which was unreal, and then like light years beyond what had happened in New Zealand.
Yeah. Do you think the familiarity of you 4 and then familiarity of them 3, and then you just have like the guy from Arizona and Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that really helped bring the team together quicker?
I think so, because you got to remember, at this time, we're not just doing charity tournaments. We're playing organized tournaments by dodgeball people who know the game. So we everyone knew each other at this point. We all had met in tournaments from the years before. So we all knew each other. We all knew each other's skill sets. We all knew each other, what everybody was good at, what everybody was bad at. Everyone knew that this was the 9 guys were all part of the top teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like an all-star game. Like, you think about it, like an NHL game. They put you're forced to play with your enemies, but
right.
You end up loving each other at the end.
That's cool. Okay. So we're in Hong Kong now, 9 days ahead of time. We're getting the team kind of chemistry in there, figuring out what role is what role. Where do you fall into that team?
So I'm a versatile player. For me, I can play corner, I can play middle, I can play right corner. I prefer the left. That's just kind of where my bread and butter is. Don't really have good peripherals. So if I'm on the right side, I'm looking at this guy in front of me. The far left is always eyeing me down. I normally don't really see that very well.
And you're right-handed too, right?
Right.
So going on the left would probably be better for you? Or?
It's a little bit harder, because throwing from left and then throwing as hard as you can straight to the right, my ball doesn't want to do that. But if you're on the far right, you have that natural curve and then dips down.
That's what I was thinking, because it doesn't make any sense, but you just can't see.
I just love the left. It's just
okay.
I just hate getting like blindsided hit. So my role for Hong Kong was I played the middle, like dead middle, because I was a fantastic catcher, and I was very good at court awareness as far as like from that perspective. And then I had a good and like the guys on the corner were literally second to none, the best corners in the country. So there's no way I would want to take that over them. But certainly if they got out, I would pick up a ball and go over there.
Right. So you guys being able to be captains, kind of recognize each other's skill sets, that probably made that process a lot smoother and cleaner.
Yeah.
And then, so is Danielle part of that team, or is Danielle part of the women's team?
Women's team, yeah. There's no co-ed at that level, yeah.
So you have a full other women's side to this, too.
Doing the same thing.
Are you guys helping each other out?
No doubt. So that's all, confidence is everything, and we've actually found ourselves sitting during one of their games one time, and they started losing, and then we were like, what are we doing? Let's get up. So from there, we got up, and then they ended up, that tournament, they won gold. They won the gold that year. The first gold medal a U.S. Team had ever brought home for their country.
That's awesome. Because did you guys win gold in Hong Kong?
We didn't. We lost to Canada again.
Again?
Yeah. So we took took silver. It was a bad finals too. Like New Zealand was somewhat competitive, but Hong Kong, they just had our number. We weren't ready.
Really?
I think think we lost like 13-3.
Oof.
Yeah,
That's a big.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, that's a big gap in there. So do you guys keep in touch with the Canadian teams at all?
Oh yeah, so they good group of guys. The only difference between at this time for the U.S. and Canada was a lot of the Canadian players were Toronto based. So, think about the advantage they would have. Know each other. 5 of their 9 guys play on their same competitive travel team.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that's immediately almost not fair. Well, not fair, but good for
It's
them.
an advantage for them for
Cool.
sure.
And they can almost like do things without even saying anything to their teammates.
Right.
So that was a little bit hard to overcome, but it was just too much for us in Hong Kong. But we do keep in touch. They travel down to the States sometimes for the bigger money tournaments, like the Sky Zone trampoline ones, the big one that's happening now. So they'll come and play in that one. They'll play in. They haven't played in an elite yet, but I think we anticipate they should be thinking about switching to because the elite's the big rubber one, and they like the Canadians like their foam,
right?
Their small foam ones.
Okay, so we go to Hong Kong. You guys win silver. Is that where Danielle wins gold?
Yep. So the women win gold, and the men are stuck with silver again, hanging our heads.
So that's a great time at home, right?
Yeah. Right.
So when asked who's better, one's got a gold and one's got a silver, so that's fine.
I got 2 silvers. She's got a silver and a gold. So it's
it's a little bit of a dagger.
She hangs hers up right next to mine. Too. Okay, cool.
So have you guys just done the 2 tournaments, or
what's that
for the World Cup? How many?
So the next year, it's the U.S. turns to host. So it's held in Las Vegas. So kind of the same selection process again, but just with some few different. I mean, at this time you had to go compete in tournaments to earn a bidding to even get thought about being selected, which we did. We did the whole thing. Got selected again for the 3rd time in 3 years, and so did Danielle, and so did Drew actually. So
that's a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean at this, and you think about it, as much as it's grown and. The sponsorships and the all the endorsements, so the organization's really grown to be somewhat significant at this time. So to be selected again for the 3rd time in a row is pretty awesome. And at this time, the team was just dynamite. Like it was a lot of the same, like Drew and I, and then a lot of those 3 same guys from that other team
from LA. Yeah,
and then they picked up another guy from LA who they know, and then we picked up another guy from the East Coast that we knew, and who actually plays on Team Awesome.
Okay,
we had 3 Team Awesome guys,
3
4
LA,
the other LA guys.
Okay.
So that was the thought, like split half the half. So we had Team Awesome and this other the guys from LA called Doom.
Okay,
they all know each other. They play against each other a lot, and obviously they know their own teammates. Maybe this will work. With a few, 1 or 2 other different guys from different areas that are great role players. And, again, didn't practice at all. Like, we met each other in Vegas, hung out, threw around like a week before, but at this point we didn't really have to.
Okay.
And the same for Danielle. New team, but kind of the same idea. Having like a large women's, a lot of women who play together frequently with a lot of different role players, like Danielle and this other girl, Megan, who play on Team Awesome also. So that was the idea.
Is the women's side a lot smaller than the guys?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Probably a third of what the men have, yeah.
So what happened at the Las Vegas tournament?
So the Las Vegas was pretty freaking awesome. Like our first match together, the men, we played Malaysia, and these these kids are unreal. Like they are small, they're agile, they're unreal arm strength and can chuck it. We ended up losing that game. It was a first round robin game. We lost, and it was very humbling because we thought we were just gonna space
roll through
jam,
everybody,
like
right.
Monstar the shit out of everybody. And we got humbled quick. Yeah, but it was close. But we recognized the mistakes, and then we did not lose again for the rest of the tournament.
Oh wow!
No, not one game. Yeah,
that's a pretty good experience all the way through. Then
yeah, so it's pretty. It was like kind of like okay, shit. What did we do? Okay, let's fix it. Instead of hanging our head low and saying, "Damn it, here we go again. Probably another silver." No,
right.
We're like, "Here's what we need to do. You fix this. You start here. You're gonna run on this time. You're gonna catch the ball here. You're moving to the corner. You're gonna be funnel thrower."
So much more structured, much more like everybody kind of working together, knowing their spots, and really kind of what their cog in the machine basically is.
No doubt, and it's the co-captain of the the LA team called Doom out there, who was actually the captain of this team this year, who just took the reins and took control, and it really paid off.
That's amazing.
As a leader myself, I learned an immense amount from that guy, from those 6 days. It was unreal.
That's great.
So yeah, and then same outcome for the women, gold medal again.
Man, yeah, that's got to feel good though, right? Okay, so you guys don't lose. Who did you meet in the finals? Was it Canada again?
Malaysia.
Yes.
Isn't that funny? So Malaysia ended up knocking out Canada, and we were kind of hoping for Canada for obvious reasons.
You want revenge, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we knew Malaysia well. We've been watching them, all week. But everyone wanted Canada for the obvious, the 2 times, the back-to-back years. These guys have just knocked us down. But we ended up playing Malaysia, and I think I don't think it was close. I think it was maybe 11-4.
Really?
10-3, something like that.
So you guys were just on fire the entire time.
We steamrolled them. Yeah, it wasn't even close. Like, we just came out, and everyone was hungry, and it was pretty awesome to be a part of. As a matter of fact, after that tournament, we actually it's like almost cliche, but we became brothers, right?
Okay.
So there's 9 of us, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, how are we going to remember this, So we all got matching Roman numeral 9 tattoos.
That's
on our wrist.
awesome.
It's all 9 of us.
That's fantastic.
And 8 of the 9 of us, it was our first tattoo.
How did it feel?
I mean, in my first one, I want to be like a tough guy, but that hurt like a bitch, man. This is like thin skin.
Man. Right. So he has the tattoo like right below the wrist on the bottom of his hand, I guess. I guess that's how to describe it. I don't know. But I have one right there too.
Oh, there you go.
So there's the bone, there's the tendons that are literally like right there on the skin. None of that feels good. Like, it's fine if you're in the meaty part. That's cool. That's whatever. But you're literally like right below the hand on there.
I thought I was like, I had a bunch of alcohol that night too. And I thought I was going to be okay.
Did you guys all get it done in Las Vegas then?
So, the funny story about that was we had played, we had won, we had gone back home, and then we had met up again in Las Vegas to compete for this thing called Elite Nationals. And I get into it a little bit later what Elite is, but so it was just another big tournament where all our teams are coming from all over the country. We met up, but as this time as enemies, and we met up at a local tattoo shop, and I got the same thing.
That's awesome. This is like movie stuff, man. Like, this is good. So do you go into? Is there another World Cup? Like, how many times have you gone so far?
So that was my third and last time.
Third and last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was 2015. There's been 2 others. Last year was Canada and Toronto, or Vancouver, or maybe Toronto. I can't remember. Gosh.
Either way, doesn't matter.
And then the year before in Australia.
Okay.
Melbourne.
Is it that you just didn't make it or didn't try?
So after we won, the selection process really started to deteriorate. We as like dodgeballers, we travel all over the country for the most part on our own dime. There's some teams like us, some of us who have sponsorships who are a little lucky, but I don't want to get into the specifics, but they really just fucked up the selection process, and it was just it was horrible. And so the 9 of us banded together and said, until we see some change, we're not trying out anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Because the owners started putting themselves on the team, which
try and get recognition,
which we didn't think they deserved. I mean,
Yeah.
You're picking the best people out. You guys are just putting yourselves on because you can, among a bunch of other things. So we, declared. We all signed this really cool document saying "fuck you guys" until you change something. We're not trying out. Fast forward 2 years, we still haven't tried out, but it's recently under new management, new leadership, whole new organization called USA Dodgeball, who bought out pretty much everything.
Okay.
And we lifted up our ban, or our, I guess, I don't even know the word.
Protest or boycott. I guess.
Boycott.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
so this will be the first year the 9 of us will attempt to try out again.
That's cool. Yeah. When does that selection process start? Do you know?
Started last weekend in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So last weekend you're playing in another tournament, right?
Yep. So it's called Elite Dodgeball. The highest level you can play at right now. It's the highest, most competitive league out there.
And that's just stateside or bar none?
Yep. This is strictly domestic.
Okay.
So you're talking, regions. You got your north, south, east, west. All have their own three tournaments that are all over their respective regions. Point system based on the winners of each tournament. For example, so we were just in Boston, and we lost in the finals to this team out of Boston. So we get 9 points to their 10 points.
Okay.
Those point system track all the way through the season. 3 tournaments in the season. The team with the most points at the end of the season wins the region and wins rings. So you win rings.
Yeah.
So Team Awesome is 2-time region winners.
So you've done this a couple times already then?
I think this is the 4th year. Elite's been happening, yeah.
The guys from LA, they're still on their Team Doom?
Yep.
Okay.
Kicking ass.
Still
down there, yeah.
I feel like, so you say Team Doom, and I feel like years ago I saw them on like ESPN.
You did.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy.
And it was trampoline dodgeball.
That's right.
So have you gotten involved with any of that? How does that work?
Oh, yeah. So Sky Zone is an indoor trampoline park.
Right, and we just got one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Been there a few times. Matter of fact, this Thursday night pickup dodgeball right now. I usually come up here.
Okay.
I'll have to swing by the house and things.
Yeah.
But so every year they host a qualifier at specific Sky Zones throughout the country. You win the qualifier, you win a guaranteed bid to go play in the championship match. Normally it's been held in Vegas the last couple of years, but last year it was in Chicago. At this tournament, you're playing against 50, 60, 70 of the best trampoline dodgeball teams out there for a prize of $20,000.
That's pretty intense.
Doom has won 4 of the 5 years they've done it. Team Awesome has got the other one.
Nice. Very nice.
And it's all covered. It varies between ESPN and I think Fox Sports Net. Is it Fox Sports?
Fox Sports, something like that. Yeah. All right, so I'm not crazy.
No, yeah, they're the real deal, man.
That's nuts. So, have you been on TV then?
Yeah, I just YouTube Team Awesome Dodgeball. The first thing that's going to come up is I think there's 13 million views of our finals against Doom.
Damn,
a couple years ago.
That's beautiful. Okay, so when you're doing your other tournaments, like your world tournaments, that's on flat ground, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
People like you get your trampoline kids who say like ground dodgeball. It's regular dodgeball.
Okay. Is there a big difference between the two?
Oh, no doubt, man. Like try and throw like a ball like with your momentum being like bounced all over the place. It's extremely difficult. No, not to mention there's trampolines on the side wall, so you can bounce on the side and do flips. Yeah, it's freaking nuts.
Which one do you like better?
I think. See, I don't know. I think they're both. Trampoline's kind of still new. I've only been playing for 4 years now, but it's so fun and it's so different, but it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
Dude, your legs are like jello after like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And imagine playing a tournament for 3 days.
I don't want to. I barely want to get out of bed, so that's a whole other thing.
Well, there's no excuse now. You got one right down the road.
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm also like lazy, fat. And I like eating and sleeping, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. My work wants to do a team builder, and one of the suggestions was Sky Zone.
There you go.
And yeah, sure, like I can do that. That's fine, but I will definitely break an ankle. And I'm not trying to live that dream right now of just being like, no, I'm not doing that.
Some of the injuries, man, are just just thinking about it and just talking about it right now is just like making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I was in an accident in December, so I got rear-ended in December, and I got rear-ended 2 years ago, too. So my back is still all jacked up. That's one of the reasons why I'm not in the best shape is because I don't want to move. But it's all the same stuff, just getting older. And
oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, so I don't know, I'm sure for you, like, have you suffered any, like, dodgeball injuries?
Actually dealing with one right now. I have a herniated disc, and it's like the hardest thing to overcome. I've been kind of fortunate. I had some LCL issues, nothing major, but my shoulder's probably I think it's about 60 years old right now.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of my body. But yeah, back is like my biggest thing. The herniated disc is no joke.
Nah, that's what I have. It's just that bulging disc that's in there.
Just pinching against that nerve.
Pain all the time.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor for the first time in a while. And this is a brand new doctor for me. And the first thing that they asked was like, how old are you? Because you have the body of a 90-year-old and you look like that. Like whatever you're doing, just stop and then better yourself right now. Like you need to get it together. If not, then you're gonna lose like all function of everything. So I was like, thanks, doc. Like you should probably instill a little bit more confidence in me, but I appreciate the pep talk. Yeah, that wasn't a very good a good time. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious, but it just makes you like really think about the fact that you need to like at this point in my life, I need to either like get it together or like quit and give up. So
just stop everything.
Yeah, just stop everything.
Just enjoy what you like to enjoy.
Right, exactly. So, all right. So we're in the elite dodgeball stuff. Where do you join for that? Because this is Team Awesome joining the elite dodgeball.
Yeah. So Team Awesome playing elite and we represent the East. And at this point, just like last weekend, we've got a guy in Philly. You got me, and I pretty much tell people Baltimore because people think Baltimore's the only place in Maryland.
Or DC, yeah.
3 guys in Florida, guy in Boston. Yeah, it's.
Are you guys able to meet up?
No.
No,
man. Practicing gets like overrated when you start turning almost 30.
Yeah.
But we've been playing together. It's the same core. The core
Okay.
doesn't really change. We've been playing together for, like I said, 6 years. So.
Yeah, so when you were talking to me about all the World Cup stuff and that selection process, I would imagine that it'd be way easier to keep the same group of people and that chemistry going.
Yeah. Again, you know, they're trying to legitimize it. So think about, you know, NBA All-Star. I mean, you're not gonna get a guaranteed bit. I mean, you might because you're named like Kobe Bryant, but I think it'd personally be. I mean, it's always up and coming talent.
Right.
You can't just keep it to a same, you know, 6 or 7 guys.
Right.
It needs to be even across the playing field. But
that's cool. So for you, where's the as far as stateside? I mean, you've gone to LA for tournaments, or just been Vegas, or
it depends on which one, man. Like this upcoming, like I think last year I was in Vegas twice, Chicago twice, Baltimore, Boston, New Jersey.
And how
Brooklyn.
are you balancing this between not only your job but your family?
It's the hardest thing, man. That is like the one thing that like kind of pushes me towards retirement is like, but it's financially it's tough because sponsorships aren't easy.
Mm-hmm.
The weekends away from my family, you know, leaving Danielle alone home with the girls is incredibly time, especially at the girls at their age. But if I were to stop, I know I'd regret it, and because I'm still in my prime, and but it's tough. But we make it work.
And Danielle pretty much understands that as being in that same vein.
Yeah, she knows, and she still plays a little bit too.
Yeah,
when she can.
So that probably makes it a little bit easier that, you know, she's a 2-time gold medalist, and
I'm only one.
right. And then, but also I would assume she knows the drive and the passion behind it and the ambition that keeps you going.
And I think, and she knows I want to win exactly. Mm-hmm. So ambition and passion still like the fire is still there. I mean, like I've always admired, you know, athletes like Tom Brady, man. I mean, he is who he is, but the fact that you can play or do anything, you name it, for so long and still have the drive to be the best, is unreal. And and I can see it's hard for me because there's a lot of personal things happening where I'm just like, it's hard for me to play. So it's hard for me to make sure I go on my 3-mile run every day, or it's hard for me to make sure I pick up a ball and throw every weekend. When I could do that, or I can go, you know, play games with my kids. So it's almost like jealousy to see someone like Tom Brady and people like him have such an incredible passion for something for so long and be good at that thing for so long, only because their passion is so great.
Right.
I think if I were ever to lose, and I think it's starting to happen a little bit, kind of just getting tired and worn out, to where I wouldn't play on the highest level as I would if I still cared.
Yeah, because you're still doing this. I mean, you're 12 years into it, as far as his career goes. And
Yeah.
I think that's pretty mind-boggling that a lot of people forget, is that when you're an athlete, it's not just your athlete at the top level, right? You're not. Tom Brady's been doing it for 12 years in the NFL. That doesn't include the college. That doesn't include the high school. That doesn't include all the other stuff that's coming with it. So you're a 12-year veteran of dodgeball, which is insane to say. But I mean, it's got to take a toll sometime, right?
I think, you know, my kids being young makes it a little easier, but as they get older and the more extracurricular activities they do that I wouldn't want to miss on the weekend. But keep in mind, I mean, you know, for Boston this past weekend, I left Friday morning and I was back Sunday morning.
Right.
So I literally got on a plane, left, got home, got to Boston, partied a little bit, played in a whole tournament Saturday, flew home at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gone for 2 days tops.
Yeah, and it's only a 2-hour flight, really.
Exactly. So, but it's the bigger ones where I'm gone for 5 or 6 days. On top of, like you said, like travel for my job and balancing, you know, Danielle's, you know, activities, and then my kids, what they gotta do, or places they gotta be. So it's difficult, but it's still a point in my life where it means enough for me to keep doing it.
What do you think is one of the biggest things that you've learned about yourself when it comes to dodgeball?
I think no, without a doubt, it's funny you say that because I've actually brought this up in job interviews before. It's like my leadership. I was like, I know it sounds very strange, but to be a leader, it takes more than just telling someone what to do. But if you can show them and then talk to them through it, I'm gonna show you how to do it, right? Then I'm gonna watch you do it, right? And then I'm gonna go away, and then you're gonna do it by yourself, and then you're gonna let me know if you did it right or wrong. So that's like the philosophy I grew up, even with the Navy. You know, being an 18-year-old kid who happens to be in charge of, you know, 6 people below you who are all almost 10 years older than you is very humbling and very enlightening, and teaches you a lot. And then from there to bring on the dodgeball court, from there to bring into my personal life and my professional career now as an adult, and a lot.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself going with dodgeball? Like, do you want to really pursue that next World Cup? Do you want to continue with Elite? Do you want to be a part of the committee that chooses people?
It's a good question, man. Like, I actually think about that a lot. That's like a great question because every year it seems like the next year I'm like, okay, man, I think this might be my last one. You know, this. You know, what do I want to get out of it now? Because back in the day, to me, it was accolades, man. I wanted those trophies on the wall. I wanted those like jerseys, those memories. I got all that crap now. So now, what is it do I want? I still enjoy the thrill. You know, put my foot at the line before the ref blows the whistle. Still, it gets me going, and that drive to be number one out of a gym full of people who all traveled to try and do the same thing, but knowing that me and my team were the victors, that gets me fired up. And it's hard for me to kind of gauge where I want. Do I think I would like to be on the committee? Probably not. I mean, there are a lot better people out there that make those selections better than I could. Because to be honest, and it boils back down to the county, man. What do we have here? We have nothing. Right. There's nothing to keep me more involved unless I travel out. So when I'm done playing, those travel days, I would have to travel to go do this kind of stuff. And yeah, it'd be nice, but I'd be so far disconnected from it than I am now. It'd be difficult. And it just wouldn't be fair.
Have you thought about developing your own team?
Team or
like a coach?
Oh shit, man! 29. I'm no coach. I mean, I do a lot of like local stuff here for like the high schools. You know, I'll ref the Chopscon High School tournaments every year. They
have a dodgeball tournament?
Yeah, we just had it like 3 weeks ago. It was cool. The principal calls me and every year asks me to come back.
Is that just Chopscon or is that...
Chopscon and Leonardtown does one, and then Margaret Brent Middle School are the 3 that keep calling me back.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty... I mean, I feel like celebrity. Like, hey, we got 3-time medalist Chris Zelinsky here to ref and... hang out,
not gold medalist, but yeah.
He's only got one. His wife's got 2.
Well, can we get the wife instead? That's awesome though. So how long has that been going on?
That's actually been like 5 years now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Chopscons was just a couple weeks ago, so it's just super fun seeing these like baseball players just light each other up.
Yeah. Have you thought about trying to go to all the schools in like the Southern Maryland area to see what they want to do? Or
so it's like, John Hillen, going back to him, he's actually tried a youth league, man. And, even as early as 3 years ago, it's hard. We tried to develop an adult social league, but Park and Recs here in the county, man, they monopolize everything. It sucks. It's annoying because we don't have the $1 million liability insurance,
Right.
which you would have to have in case someone decided to sue. So that's like the biggest thing, which Park and Recs they do have, but they weasel and they like source it out to the facilities, or I don't know how they do it, but
Gotcha. Okay.
it's just tough. It's tough, and I just don't have the time to invest and to get it up and running, and certainly I don't want to put any of my money towards something like that, but we need it. We need something, man. There's kickball.
Yeah. We talked about it a little bit earlier. It's just disappointing that there's not much else to do, despite the fact that there's so many people, especially down in St. Mary's, but you look at Charles County and Calvert County where people have, not only do they have money as far as the parents do, but the kids just don't have that much. Like, you should be able to invest in the future. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things that we miss the most in the Southern Maryland area is that there's not much of a future building. So there's, like, we had skate parks, which was cool, but that was more of a reaction than it was a pro-action in there.
Good point.
And then, we have, like, youth lacrosse leagues, but that's just to feed through. It's just like the youth sports. That's just to feed into the high schools.
Right.
So there's not really anything else, like softball, I guess.
I was just gonna say,
fine.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, but
for adults, like there's volleyball, I guess, but you nailed it, man. Softball is like that's the county.
Yeah,
you want to play something, you gotta play softball. Even then, it's like to get on any one of those teams, you got to be like a former college ball player,
right? Or just kind of in that group. Like, someone's got to know you. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the most disappointing thing. And I've talked about it as far as the music side goes before, where I went to a show 2-3 weeks ago, and it's the same people playing the same style of music for the past 10 years. There's no one new coming in there, which is really disappointing. And it's got to be kind of disheartening for you. I mean, you see them in the high schools, which is really cool. But do you see anybody trying to maybe reach out to you to say, hey, what can I do to get to this point?
Right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just like, it's like how the hell did you get to play overseas playing dodgeball? I'm like, well, you got some time? Cause,
yeah, this is a whole story.
But I wish it was like that, and it's unfortunate. But where the adults are taking it, and keep in mind, I mean, the county is what it is. But, you go, an hour north. D.C. has got one of the best social sports organizations in all of the East Coast.
Right.
So I think it's just us, but it is. I think the dodgeball community is doing a pretty good job about bringing up new talent because we're just unfortunate here. The social leagues everywhere else is pretty kick ass. Yeah, we just have nothing here.
Cool. So for you, we talked about it a little bit as far as your drive to keep going, and it's that feel of you being right on the line. What else do you think keeps you going through it? Is it just your own personal accolades, or do you want to start a legacy for yourself? What do you think?
I think I don't want to be sound arrogant, but my legacy's written. I mean, I actually talked about this the other day with one of my teammates. There are only 2 tournaments since my 12 years of playing that I have played on a consistent base, that I played multiple years that I haven't won. So think about 12 years, how many tournaments I played in. There are only 2 that I never got to be a chance to be a part of. And it's only because my team won while I was overseas protecting freedom and shit. So it's a good trade-off. But I think, I still like winning. And I think I'm fortunate, to be on a team with a group of guys who gel and mesh so well together that it still makes it fun. Because there's a lot of teams who create teams based on talent, but they don't hang out afterwards. You know what I mean? They're just there to win, and they're not really cool. I love my teammates. I love them to death. I consider all of them my brothers, and I would I hate to say it, I would literally take a bullet for them guys. I love them guys, and I think that's what And the fact that I only get to see him, 8 or 9 times a year, makes it very cool and makes it, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just like emotional and it's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
That I like to only see these guys for a certain amount of time and then do as much winning as we do. It's awesome. Again, so actually before I had joined Team Awesome, because you mentioned fire, I had actually lost it. And I was actually like on the verge of quitting. I was like,
right.
This isn't fun for me. And I'm like, I started to hate the people, like my teammates. Believe it or not, these are my friends from high school. I just don't like these people anymore. We're all doing different things. But then Team Awesome came and really just like started
reignited
clicking.
you, got it back in there.
I think I got like 6 years left in me, I think.
Yeah?
We'll see. Pending any major injuries, I don't know.
That's amazing. All right, cool.
Because you got people like, in their 40s still playing.
Really?
Believe it or not, and that's insane.
I would have gave up a long time ago.
Dad bods are in right now, so I'll be all right.
Well, that's cool, man. I think that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. Like that's a great way to kind of catalog your experience with it. And yeah, it's just insane that, you have one person that we started, well, you have a couple people, but we started this literally when we were in high school, just an idea John had, and I remember talking to him like when he came up with the idea and writing names down for everything. And now, we have multi-medals in both of your families. Your family, like that's insane that you have 3 golds and 3 silvers? 3 and 3,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts to me that you have that in St. Mary's. Like you have one family that has taken so much from everybody else. That's
power couple, baby.
Yeah, I like it. So that's awesome. Yeah, but I think that's really it, man. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you guys. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Team Awesome.